Welcome to this new episode of Digital Dialogs with Gururaj Rao and Vinayak Khadye. Before we begin with the podcast, here is a brief introduction of Guru and Vinayak. Gururaj Rao is a well-respected professional with more than 2 decades of experience in CXO roles in banking, financial services, and insurance companies in India. Vinayak Khadye has more than 2 decades of experience in leadership roles in consulting, insurance industry and also as a co-founder of a startup in EdTech space. He is the founder of Techaways Consulting. In Digital Dialogs podcast series, Gururaj and Vinayak go beyond jargons and buzzwords in the digital world and bring to the fore the true meanings of these terms. They discuss models, methodologies, technologies, architectures, case studies, and challenges and issues associated with digital initiatives, which can help you as decision maker. In this first episode of the 2 episodes podcast on Enterprisewide Data Management, Guru and Vinayak discuss importance and relevance, processes, and tools involved in enterprise-wide data management. Over to Guru and Vinayak.
So, folks, welcome to this new edition of Techaways Talks. Today, Guru and I intend to discuss overall data management in organizations. We know that, there's a lot of talk about data-driven organizations. That means, organizations taking decisions, informed decisions based on data rather than hunches. And with the growth of adoption of various IT applications, it becomes very relevant and a sort of natural progression, for organizations to move towards data-driven organizations. But having said that, Guru, recently I was at one of my clients, and one of the clients' business managers was talking about still, first of all, having a lot of islands of data, and then having a large team, almost 15 to 20 people, of generating reports on Excel from various data sources. So while organizations talk about data-driven organizations and or organizations being data-driven, but then sources of data, multiple islands of data, quality of data, single source of truth within organizations. These are some of the issues that uh, both IT organization as well as business users have to deal with.
Yes.
So recently I think you've had experience where you were involved in a large enterprise-wide initiative of sort of establishing complete data management infrastructure. So over to you in terms of what were the issues, in terms of what were the issues that led to this initiative? What were the challenges? What the initiative
Yeah.
was about? So let's discuss this today.
Yeah. So, Vinayak, absolutely right. Your observations are on the dot. Uh, you know, every organization has this question that, we say that we want to be data driven, but how do we become data driven? Okay, because, uh, you know, data is wrong. That's the broad statement everybody makes, or data is not available. That's another statement people make, or it's not available on time when required for by the right people. So these are broad statements which people make. Uh, so if I drill down into that, there are multiple types of data, but in organizations even today, the maximum amount of data, the predominant source of data is from the applications which capture data for transaction purposes, customer interactions, regulatory purposes, etc. And so that data gets stored in the databases of those applications. Okay, and then people start accessing that data. Okay, so typically data as a concept in an organization tends to be a derivative of automation, of customer interactions, etc., etc. Right?
True.
It's not something which is planned first, that things should be as per data. This is what I want to capture, this is what I want to analyze, this is what I want to process, etc. So whatever is thrown up by those databases and other sources of data, today of course we get a lot of sources of data from outside as well, right? We get for example credit reports, we get bank statements, all those things. In financial services, when you want to make decisions, you get health reports. So these are all again data that we get. I mean, they are not necessarily in the structured format, the database format that are in the applications, but you get sources. So you get unstructured data in addition to structured data. You get data from external sources in addition to the internal sources. There can be data in the form of text, in terms of spreadsheets, etc. So these are the sources of data which come in. Now, are they organized? Now, when you say data, is there a definition of the data? See, each application has its own database schema. Okay, there are data in columns and in rows. I mean, there are tables, right? There are rows and columns of data. The data is written for a particular purpose, read for a particular purpose, and all those things. So, is there a mechanism by which we are defining what is the data? Are we tracking the changes that's happening in the definition as well? Or whenever fields get added or modified for usage or whatever? So that's data cataloging, right? I mean, so from that stage onwards, till the time the data goes into various purposes. Okay, typically analytics is divided, which is the output of data processing. I mean, what you want to do with data gets divided into various parts, right? First and foremost, basic part is the descriptive data. I mean, descriptive output, descriptive analytics. Then there is a diagnostic analytics. Then you have predictive analytics, and you have prescriptive analytics, right? So if we go into each one, descriptive is basically you're getting data to give you kind of MIS, what is happening on a day-to-day basis. Like, so much of sales has happened, so many people are active in the field, these are the employees who have joined or left or whatever. All those reports, all those MISs, or even things which are going out to the stakeholders, those are all descriptive reports. Okay? Then there is the diagnostic part. Why is it happening? So when you analyze those data and you come up with some inferences, that becomes diagnostic kind of a data. So these are reports which happen on a regular basis, daily, hourly, weekly, whatever. Okay, so there is data in the source. From there the data gets extracted. There is a mechanism. Okay, I mean, earlier we used to have predominantly ETL, I mean extraction, transformation, loading.
Information and loading.
Okay, yeah, and then you put it into a particular repository, which could be an operational data store or a data warehouse, or within the data warehouse you could have data marts. And now last few years many people are using data lakes, where you don't do extraction, transformation, and loading, but you do extraction and loading, and you transform as and when you want the data to be used. So data lake takes the data as is, and then it transforms. Data warehouse, data marts, etc., they take the data in a transformed way in which you want to read the data. So once you get, again, I mean, there's one more nuance out here with regard to how the data is moved from the source to the data repository, is that I mean, typically the database starts becoming larger and larger over the time, when you start using it, right? So there is for easier extraction, there is a concept called CDC, change data capture. Okay, so where we identify only the data which has changed and then use it for the next stage, right? Because typically for the descriptive and the diagnostic part, you need only that much of data. So you take that data, put it into the ETL, take it to the repository, and from there you have another concept which is called the business intelligence, where you create the necessary reports as the users would need it, and then publish it to various stakeholders. So it could be reports, it could be dashboards, it could be various other cuts of the data that you might want to show in terms of reports to the stakeholders. So this is the first stage where you get the data, you do an ETL, and you publish it for the descriptive and the diagnostic purpose. When it comes to prescriptive, prescriptive happens when you have a modeling happening. The modeling can be for statistical, and that data is not necessarily on a real-time basis, right? I mean, when you're creating models, you first take the data set for a particular period or a particular segment or whatever, and then you create statistical models. You try out various ways of analysis. You see what fits the data better, the situation better. You based on the business problems you're trying to solve. For example, if you want to solve, say, a cross-sell point, right? I mean, you have a segment of customers who are already there with you for a particular product, and you want to cross-sell them another product or something. So if you want to analyze that, then how do you do that? Okay, you will come up with a model which will showcase the the propensity of the customer segment to pick up another product. So, or you want to do a cost optimization model. You would look at the cost analysis of various components from your financial statements, and then come up with particular models, for the variable costs, and then come up with an answer that this is the propensity of where you can manage the costs. So for that purpose, you take data in an extract. You take the data of a particular period or a particular cut, and then you give it to the analysts. The analysts work, the statistical analysts, the data analysts work on the models. They do an iterative part, what fits better. And once they do the testing, then that model is integrated into the applications where they need to be used. For example, for the cross-sell upsell, you will integrate with the CRM or a marketing tool, communication tool, etc. So that is the predictive part of it, predictive part of it, predictive analysis. And then comes the prescriptive part. Prescriptive part is even more intelligent, where once you have a particular set of questions, business challenges to be answered, what is proposed to be done? That again involves a lot of analysis and some kind of scenario planning, decision support, that what should we do in such a situation, that if the competition market segment is this, and if the products are that, then how does it look like, how do things move, how do we move then? So that is prescriptive analysis. Sorry. So you do all those, but the data that is used is different in different format for different purposes. Descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive, each one would be slightly different. And hence, the technology that you need for these different applications would be different. Okay, for some parts, yes, it would be similar, extracting the data from the source to the data repository. But from the data repository, how do you extract, how do you work on the analysis, and how do you take it forward is the next step. Now, in all these, okay, I mean, again, once you do the modeling, the next step is to review the model. What is the result of the model? Because these are all statistics, right? I mean, they are not exact answers. There is a probability, there is a change in scenario, change in assumptions. So you have to keep reviewing the models, how fit they are for the situation. And if they are not, then you see whether you need to fine tune it, or you need to change to a different model completely based on the business problem. So that is again a model governance mechanism. So for all this flow of data from the source till the usage and review, you need to have various solutions. I first mentioned about the CDC, then about the BI tool, then about the data warehouse. Even across these solutions, you need to have other tools working. You need to have the data catalog to maintain the definition of the data. You need to track the data, where are they created, where are they modified, where are they moving. And this is actually also a part of data lineage. So if you are getting a report, for example, and you're getting a particular field or a particular data point, how is it come about? Okay, where are you getting it from? where did you pick it, how did you transform it, how did you bring it to the report, etc. Data lineage, right? The complete tracing back of the data to its source. That's extremely essential. That's one thing. The second part is data catalog, data lineage, etc. And if you would typically, as the organization grows and as it becomes older, larger, more complex, you will find multiple sources of data. You're not going to have everything coming into a single monolith place. The era of monoliths in any case in various situations is over. You will have multiple sources, and even today you have organizations where you would have sources of data on premise, you would have on the cloud. So there are various reasons for that. Some applications may be SaaS, some, so you will get data from various places. How do you bring them all on a single pane for extracting the data and using it? That is called data virtualization. You virtually bring the data together, you connect to the various sources. You don't need to again bring all the data here and then you join and you analyze and create fresh reports, etc. You can virtually look at the data on a single pane and create the outputs. So that's again a new or a recent development, not very recent, a few years ago, but people have started adopting it to a large extent recently, data virtualization. So that's the other technology which is important, and it helps in all this, the data lineage, in data cataloging across various solutions, etc.
Here we conclude the first episode of the 2 episodes podcast on enterprise-wide data management. Please like, share and subscribe to Digital Dialogs with Gururaj and Vinayak.